When it comes to counterfeits, people often think of products made in China. According to a report by Voice of America titled, "The United States Announces the Notorious Markets for Counterfeiting and Piracy, and China is once again on top of the list," the Office of the United States Trade Representative released its 2024 review of notorious markets for counterfeiting and piracy. In this list, 39 online markets and 33 physical markets across 18 countries that engage in large-scale counterfeiting or facilitate piracy are named. Once again, China tops the list as the world's #1 source of counterfeit goods. Let's first look at the real experience of a Chinese blogger named Xiaoya. In China, not only are Louis Vuitton bags widely imitated, but there are also 3 different types of replicas, each varying in quality, grade, and price. She bought 1 authentic bag and 3 fake ones to compare them individually. The results are eye-opening. The RMB 500 version gives off a strong glue smell immediately upon opening. Compared to the original, the color difference is obvious. The replica looks dull and gray, and the material is very stiff, lacking the original's soft feel. The lining is also significantly different. The genuine one is made of leather with visible texture, while the fake one uses ordinary flannel with a completely different texture. The workmanship is rough, with glue overflowing in some areas. The shoulder strap looks especially fake, with noticeable differences in thickness and detail. The so-called one-to-one replica claim doesn't hold up at all. The RMB 1300 version still smells like glue, though less intensely. The material is still stiff, but better than the cheaper one. The color is slightly off, but not easily noticeable unless you look closely. The workmanship is decent, with no major flaws. However, the shoulder strap still looks somewhat cheap and lacks refinement. The RMB 1780 version is the most expensive. It's impressive when worn. Soft, delicate, and very close to the original. It smells like real leather. Unlike the other 2, the color almost matches the original. If you're being picky, it might be slightly lighter, but without a side-by-side comparison, it's hard to tell. The stitching is fine, the lining well chosen, and even the shoulder strap closely resembles the genuine version. Among the 3, it's the most accurate replica. What's most surprising is that this version even includes a chip. Scanning it displays the same information as the real product, unlike the other 2 which have none. Though still counterfeit, it is nearly indistinguishable from the genuine item. The most famous counterfeit paradise in China is a place called Huaqiangbei Market in Shenzhen, Guangdong Province. There are the largest and most concentrated watch stalls here, selling all kinds of brand-name counterfeit watches. There are also various Shanzai brand-name bags, jewelry, perfume, etc., as well as a large number of electronic products. In the following video, blogger Xiao Bao brings his girlfriend Tong Tong to Huaqiangbei Market. He said he wanted to open his girlfriend's eyes. Walking into the market, Tong Tong was immediately attracted by a glittering lawyer gold watch. She lamented that this high-end style is not only expensive at regular counters, but also not necessarily available even if you queue up. You have to have a very good relationship with the counter and they will sell it to you. Xiaobao curiously asked about the price, and the boss only offered 380 RMB. Tong Tong also noticed another Audemars Piguet Starry Sky, which has a market price of hundreds of thousands of RMB, but it is easy to buy a replica here, and the appearance is almost the same as the real thing. In addition to electronic products, there are also a large number of counterfeit brand name bags in the market. Tong Tong noticed that many of them were popular new LV models, including Speedy bags, bucket bags, mini styles, and the Chene series. When she asked about the price, a counterfeit LV bag was only 380 RMB. Xiao Bao touched it and said, "The workmanship is very good. To me, it's no different from the real thing." They also came across fake versions of various brand-name perfumes. Tong Tong smelled a Gucci perfume and said, "It's about 80% to 90% similar. I can't tell the difference." And the price? The seller quoted 160 RMB, which is a surprisingly people-friendly price. When they entered the jewelry section, Tong Tong saw a necklace that looked exactly like the one she was wearing and exclaimed, "Isn't this the one I have on?" Her genuine necklace, made of K-gold, cost her 17,000 RMB, but the nearly identical one at the stall was only 138 RMB. Under the light, they compared the two. The fake one was slightly smaller and had a single-sided carving, while the genuine one had a double-sided design. There is also a world-famous counterfeit hub in China, Yiwu. The variety and speed of counterfeiting there are jaw-dropping. Yiwu is a county-level city in Zhejiang province. It hosts the world's largest small commodity wholesale market and is known as the capital of small commodities. At the same time, it's a hotspot for counterfeit and pirated goods, a veritable capital of fakes. Once a product becomes a bestseller, Yiwu's factories quickly jump on the trend and begin mass-producing counterfeit versions. These include beauty products, clothing, bags, shoes, toys, sports gear, daily necessities, and more. How fast is the imitation process? Within 5 minutes of a product going viral, an identical version may already appear in the supply chain. If not, a factory will open a mold within a day, and a sample can be ready in about 2 days. Besides Shenzhen and Yiwu, there are 7 other major centers of counterfeiting across China. Capital of fake shoes, Putian, Fujian Province. Known nationwide as the fake shoe capital, Putian has been a distribution center for counterfeit branded shoes since 2008. Factories there produce knockoffs of brands like Nike and Adidas, which are sold in China and worldwide via e-commerce. The counterfeiting industry in Putian has formed a complete supply chain, including materials, manuals, packaging, and even quality inspection cards that closely mimic the real ones. Capital of fake leather bags, Baiyun District, Guangzhou. Cities in Zhejiang, Jiangsu, and Guangdong are home to many underground factories that specialize in high-end replicas of luxury bags. For instance, Guangzhou is a hub for fake LV bags, with Baiyun Leather City being the most well-known market. Capital of fake cosmetics, Suzhou, Jiangsu Province. Many cosmetics distributors in China are aware that Suzhou is the country's main hub for counterfeit cosmetics. These knockoffs are typically low-end, with prices as low as 1/10 of genuine products. However, they use cheap ingredients that may harm users' health. These unscrupulous producers disregard consumer safety entirely. Capital of fake clothing, Qingdao, Shandong Province. Capital of fake bicycles, Tianjin City. Capital of fake electronics, Dongguan, Guangdong Province. Capital of fake silk, Tongxiang, Zhejiang Province. In short, counterfeits are everywhere in China. Ordinary people live in a society filled with fakes. Those who produce them harm others, and eventually are harmed by the system they created. In addition, Chinese people not only make fakes in China to hurt themselves, but also export these fakes overseas. As a result, when they encounter difficulties, they blame it on the trade war initiated by President Trump. Mexico has previously issued a warning to these small vendors in China who make fakes and OEMs overseas. The local Yiwu small commodity market was even forcibly closed, and the army was dispatched. The blogger pointed out that the reason why the Mexican authorities did this was not simply due to external pressure, but because some Chinese businessmen repeated the unscrupulous business operation model that had long been criticized in China. These businessmen used to operate in China by competing at low prices and producing chaotic quality, and now they are still doing the same abroad. After repeated warnings failed, the local government finally chose to impose a ban, which is not only a maintenance of market order, but also a protection for local legal operators. This incident reflects a deep-seated sadness. When some companies are overly involuted in China and cannot find a way out through legitimate means, they try to export this distorted competition logic abroad and continue to make profits against their conscience. However, the world is not a market that anyone can exploit at will, especially in South America and Latin America, where market norms and the rule of law are increasingly emphasized. The local government will not allow such destructive behavior to spread, nor will it compromise with it. However, it is regrettable that some domestic media and self-media have tried to blame the incident on the trade war launched by the United States, externalizing the essential problem. This statement is wrong. Mexico's move is based on its own legitimate maintenance of market order and has no direct connection with the United States. Instead of shifting blame, we should reflect inward. The real focus should be on the companies that produce counterfeits and harm consumers, and on the industry structures distorted by capital. We should expose and push for reform in food companies that falsify ingredient lists. We should also learn from business models like Pangdonglai, which are honest and people-centered. It is better to be down to earth and start to reform and improve ourselves. This is the most responsible attitude towards the market.
China's hard times are set to continue. 3 terrible phenomena are sweeping the country. Recently, inflation data in China for September was released, with the prices of fresh vegetables, pork, and fresh fruits rising by 22.9%, 16.2%, and 6.7%, respectively. Among them, the price of vegetables rose by 22.9% in 1 month. Some vegetables saw a larger short-term increase. For example, the month-on-month increase in green peppers and tomatoes in September was as high as 45.6% and 35.2%, respectively. Leading most foods, the price increase is too fast. People all over the country are shouting, "I really can't afford it." And this price surge is partly due to natural disasters. This year, heavy rainfall and high temperatures in many places have not only restricted the growth of vegetables, but also aggravated the difficulties of harvesting and transportation, causing the prices at the place of production to rise steadily. As for the future market, some researchers said that in October, when the temperature in most parts of the country was higher than the same period in previous years, production conditions were good, and with the weather gradually cooling, the transportation, storage losses, and transportation costs of vegetables decreased. If there is no disastrous weather, vegetable prices will gradually fall back and enter the seasonal downward range. Of course, in addition to natural factors, the impact of human factors cannot be ignored behind the soaring vegetable prices. China's agricultural industry chain is complex, the management level is not high, and the storage and processing technology of agricultural products lags behind, which also causes a large amount of vegetables to be lost during transportation, further raising vegetable prices. In the face of such a situation, to ensure the stability of vegetable prices in the future and reduce seasonal fluctuations, the most important thing is to improve the connection between production and sales, strengthen the construction of agricultural production infrastructure, improve the level of agricultural science and technology, and improve the market regulation mechanism. Otherwise, under the fluctuation of supply and demand, you won't be able to afford tomatoes and spinach this time, and next time, you may not be able to eat onions. Rising unemployment rate. Many companies are laying off employees and cutting salaries, and it is becoming more and more difficult to find a job. Some people can't find a job they like for several months. Even graduates from prestigious universities such as 985 and 211 also face employment pressure. The number of fresh graduates this year exceeds 10 million, and the demand for corporate recruitment has decreased, but the number of people looking for jobs is increasing. The National Bureau of Statistics previously released the unemployment rate data for August. Data shows that the unemployment rate of urban laborers aged 16 to 24, excluding students in school, reached 18.8%. Up 1.7% from the previous month. In September, the National Bureau of Statistics released the latest urban unemployment rate data, showing that the National Urban Survey unemployment rate reached 5.1%. Experts pointed out that the rise in unemployment is not only a manifestation of weak economic recovery, but also reflects changes in industry structure and a mismatch between supply and demand of human resources. The demand for recruitment in many high-skilled positions has increased, while low-skilled and labor-intensive positions have continued to shrink. This structural unemployment phenomenon is difficult to effectively solve in the short term and must be improved through joint efforts of all parties. Recently, the 2023 Individual Tax Clearance Data Report has been released. The proportion of people who do not need to pay personal income tax in the country exceeds 70%. In 2023, 67 million people will benefit from the special additional deduction policy, and taxpayers with an annual income of less than 100,000 yuan basically do not need to pay personal income tax. Combined with the data of each sub-item in the report, the more realistic data structure of Chinese income levels can be summarized. 745 million people earn less than 10,000 yuan a month. About 20 million people earn more than 100,000 yuan a year. About 12 million people earn more than 150,000 yuan a year. 7.3 million people earn between 150,000 and 1 million yuan a year. Only 700,000 people earn more than 1 million yuan a year. That is to say, if you earn 150,000 yuan a year, you are already considered a rich person. Many companies can no longer pay wages. Some netizens said that their company has not been able to pay wages on time for almost 3 months, and people in the office are panicking, worrying that the company will suddenly go bankrupt one day. Little do they know that the delay in paying wages is not because the boss deliberately refuses to pay, but because there is really no money in the account. Sometimes the company needs to raise money from various sources just to pay wages. According to The Economist, the vacancy rate of Green Creation Plaza, a 5-star park in Hangzhou Future Science and Technology City, has reached 1/3, which is basically the same as last year and has not improved. EFC, European and American Financial City, is an office building with a relatively low vacancy rate in the Future Science and Technology City. Last year, the vacancy rate was around 20%, but this year it has clearly exceeded 20%. Not only has the vacancy rate increased, but rents are also falling. This is a nationwide phenomenon, including first-tier cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. No city's office buildings have remained strong. From grade A office buildings to ordinary office buildings, there was some structural decline in previous years, and now they are all facing this problem. The main reason is that there are fewer companies now, and companies need fewer people. Some companies have laid off employees, and the workload that was originally completed by 3 people is now being done by 2 or even 1 person.